So week 7, we saw some receivers break out. So going into week 8, you want to go on the waiver wire and get some of these guys. So the first guy I'm going to put in my priority list, if he's still out there some way, somehow in your fantasy league, is Antonio Brown. Tampa Bay Bucks signed Brown on Friday to a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. And now you add Brown to that dynamic offense. You saw Tom Brady go for liftoff yesterday with 5 total touchdowns and hitting all his receivers all out there. Now you add Brown to the offense. You know he's going to get single coverage. You know he's going to get open. Arians is backing him. He said he's matured and he's ready to go. Brown's going to start practicing on Wednesday. He can't come back to week 9, but if somehow Brown is out there in your league, you got to go out there and get him. It's the number one priority to add this week. The second guy I'm going to add is Cole Beasley of the Buffalo Bills. Another great performance for Beasley. Josh Allen likes him in the slot. John Brown, I know, was out yesterday, but Beasley getting a lot of looks early and often. He had 12 targets, and he finished the ball game versus the weak Jet defense with 11 catches for 112 yards. So Beasley finishing the day with 22 fantasy points for Cole Beasley. And this guy, he's a proven slot receiver. We saw him for years on the Dallas Cowboys, produced with Tony Romo and Dak Prescott for a few years. But now in Buffalo, he's starting to find his way. And Beasley, every week, it seems like he's getting his double-digit points. If John Brown is there or not, Allen taking the next step, throwing for 300 yards in most of his games. So Beasley and Diggs having a great season for the Buffalo Bills. The third guy you got to go out there and add, and he's going to be a top ad for sure this week, is Rashard Higgins of the Cleveland Browns. We saw Odell Beckham get flipped and tear his ACL, which was confirmed today, so he's out for the season. Higgins came in, he had 6 catches for 110 yards and finished with 17 fantasy points was Higgins, so a great game for him. He's only 2% owned, and now he's going to be a starting receiver for the Cleveland Browns. We know People Jones was in there as well. He had a touchdown, but Higgins is going to be the guy there with Jarvis Landry to start for the Browns in Week 8 and going forward. So Higgins, he'll be my third priority to add on waivers this week after coming off a big game, and now with the Beckham injury confirmed and he's out for the seasons. Higgins 2% owned, so he's out there in all your fantasy leagues unless you're in like a 20-team league or something. The fourth guy to go out there and gets Corey Davis. He came off the COVID list this week and he didn't disappoint for the Tennessee Titans. 10 targets, 6 catches, 35 yards and a touchdown. He finished the day with 1550 in fantasy points. Corey Davis, a highly touted prospect out of college. They were comparing him to Randy Moss, I remember, on some draft nights. But Davis coming back yesterday versus the Steelers, getting good target looks and the catches. He's only 28% owned, and you know he's going to have a good role in a good high-powered offense like the Tennessee Titans. And you know Ryan Tannehill likes those big targets. So if Corey Davis is out there, you definitely go out there and add him. He's going to help your team a lot as the weeks go on with the buys and the injuries. And his bye week was over already in Week 4. So Davis, he's definitely a guy to go out there and get. And the fifth guy who's been surprising this year after being considered a bust most of his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, is Nelson Agholor. He's on the Vegas Raiders now. Another great game for him with 21 fantasy points. He had 9 targets for 5 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown. You got to go out there and get this guy. He's putting up points now in the last few weeks. He's had over 12 fantasy points in the last 3 weeks. His bye week is up. He's got Cleveland and the Chargers, 2+ matchups coming up for Agholor. We thought Henry Ruggs would be a big guy in that offense, but he's just not there yet, the rookie. I don't know if the injuries set him back or what, but Nelson Agholor is the deep ball threat for Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders. And once again, he showed it yesterday with the 9 targets and a deep long ball that he caught for 40+ yards. So definitely go out and get him. He's only 4% owned, and he's having a solid season with 70 fantasy points is Nelson Agholor. And the sixth guy, he might have got dropped over the last few weeks, but now with an injury, we saw him emerge a little as well as Brandon Aiyuk, the rookie receiver on the San Francisco 49ers. We saw him having a highlight play a few weeks ago versus the Eagles, jumping over a defender into the end zone for a touchdown. But yesterday he came back with a vengeance. He had 7 targets, 6 catches for 115 yards. He finished the day with 17 fantasy points. Was Brandon Aiyuk for the 49ers. Deebo Samuel versus the Patriots left the game with a hamstring injury. So Aiyuk, he'll be the number 1 over there right now, him and Bourne. If Deebo cannot go next week in the Week 8 matchup versus the Seattle Seahawks, who get torched offense. So if Aiyuk's out there and you need a receiver, you could easily go out there and plug and play him into your starting lineup at the flex, second or third receiver, whatever it is. This Brandon Aiyuk, he's definitely worth the pickup. He's 49% owned. His percentage went down a lot over the last few weeks of drop percentage. So he's back out there and back on the radar to pick up this week for Week 8. So that's 6 wide receivers I'm looking to pick up on the waiver wire for Week 8 of the fantasy football season.